Hello everyone. Today I'll explain how to use the SSH, which is short for Secure Shell. This is a protocol that allows two computers to communicate. Today I will explain in the first part how to use SSH to connect to a remote machine so I can execute Linux commands on the remote machine. Then in the second part, I'll show you how we can upload and download files. So I am inside Fedora Linux. Click Activities. Let's open the terminal. If you can't find the terminal here, search for the terminal. Let me zoom in. Okay, the first step, let's switch to the root. So I can execute any command with full privilege. I am in the root. First, let me start the SSH service. So the command will be service SSH D. Again, D mean this is a daemon process, which means it runs in the background. So if I check the status first, as you see, it's inactive, it's dead. So now let me start. As you see the command service SSHD start. Let me clear my screen. Then if I repeat the status, as you see active, yes, it is active. It's currently running. So the SSH service is now running on this machine using open SSH server. And again, D short for daemon, which means this process now run in the background. So let me clear my screen. First, since I will be demonstrating local and remote machine on the same machine, I need to figure out what is the IP address. So I can type the interface configuration. if, sorry for the typo, if config. As you see, I have two interfaces. This is the loopback, always running at IP address 127.0.0.1. Today, let me use the IP address. As you see, inet, this is the IP address. Right-click, copy. For the main interface card, EMP0S1. If you have VirtualBox, mostly the name will be ETH0, Ethernet 0. So let me clear my screen. First, let me try to connect to the SSH from the root account. Just type SSH, right-click, paste my IP address, provide your password. Permission denied. As you see, it didn't give me incorrect password. It says permission denied. If you try the password again, we still get the same error message. Again, it's not about incorrect password, it's about permission denied. So to exit this screen, let me press Control and C. Permission denied means I am not allowed to connect to the SSH from the root. And if you try also to connect to the FTP server from the root, you get the same. Why? Root is just account. It's not a real user. So by default, root can't log into the SSH or FTP. For this, we get permission denied. So let me add a new user. user add. For example, let me call it just user, and let me change the password for this user account. Choose any password. Repeat again. Authentication tokens updated successfully. Now let's try to connect to the SSH using the user account I just created, which is just user at, right-click, paste my IP address, provide the password. As you see, we are now connected using SSH. Here, this IP address could be a remote machine, and this is a user account on the remote machine. Here, you need to know the password for the remote account on this remote machine. So now imagine I am connected remotely to the machine or a server with this IP address using the login credential user and the password for the user. Now I have remote connection to a machine. I can execute any command like list. Let me create a file, for example, touch SSH, or let me create, let's say, 3 files from 1 to 3 .txt list. So now I am executing remote commands on a remote machine using SSH. You have full control of the remote machine. Once you finish, you can just exit. As you see, log out. Connection to this IP address is closed. This confirms that I had a remote connection to a remote machine. So this is the first part. We can use SSH to log in remotely to any machine if you know the IP address of the machine and if you know a user credential on that machine. Second part, let's now upload and download a few files. So let me create another account. For example, let me call it student. Then let me change the password for this account. Okay, now I have 2 accounts. I have user. This user account, let's say, simulate like you have local machine. And I have another account, student. This one simulate a remote machine or remote server. So now we will upload and download files. I'll press enter, I'll get error. I am just to show you that we have 1 user account. This is to simulate a local machine, the student to simulate a remote machine. So now let me switch to the first user account, which is called user. We are not in the user home directory. Be careful, here we have root. If you use pwd, as you see /root, type cd or cd tilde, we are in the user home directory. To confirm, print working directory /home/user. So now I am inside the local machine, the user account user. I am in the user home directory, as you see the tilde here. Let me right click on the terminal, new window. Let me just simulate. This is like the remote machine. So let me switch to the student, provide the password. Again, as you see, this is not the home directory for the user. Press or write cd or cd tilde. Now pwd /home/student. So if I list in the remote machine, I have 0 files. In the local machine, I have 3 files that I created today. So now let me upload one file from the local machine to the remote machine. As you see here, we have user, we have student. This is the remote machine. So we can use the command secure copy. How we can upload? First, I need the file name. Assume I need to upload SSH3. I need a credential on the remote machine. I know the user account student. This is a user account on the remote machine. The IP address, since I am using the same my machine IP address, we assume this is the IP address of the remote machine. Then without a space, colon, where in the remote machine you want to upload this file. If you want to upload to the student home directory, this is the full path, /home/student. Enter. Are you sure? Yes. Password for the remote account. As you see, it gives me the name of the file. This means it was uploaded or transferred from the local to the remote. To check, click terminal, go to student. Now, if I list one file is copied using secure copy from the local machine to the remote machine. So just to give you more details, when we are using secure copy, this means it uses authentication. As you see here, it asks me for a password to authenticate me. Second, the file before it's transferred will be encrypted. Now we can apply the same command. Let me copy the remaining 2 files. For example, SSH1 and 2. Provide the password for authentication. As you see, the 2 files, we see their names here. So if you go to the remote machine, which is the student, if you list, as you see, the 3 files are transferred from the local machine to the remote machine after authenticating me, and they are encrypted. Now, in the remote machine, let me just create a file. Call it, for example, remote file. If you list, I have here 4 files. On the local machine, if I list in the user, I have 3 files. So now let me download. We can use secure copy. To download, first we provide the credentials, student at, the IP address of the remote machine, this one. Then you put colon, no space, the name of the file, as you know, it's called remote file. Let me check again here. It's called remote file. If remote file not in the user home directory, here you need to provide the full path. For example, /home/student/documents, then the file name, space. On my local machine, I can keep the same file name, or you can change it, for example, to remote file 1. Also, you can place it in any place. For example, I want to store it in the root. So let me copy it to the just home directory of the user account called user, using the same name, provide the password for authentication. Now, if you list, as you see, the file is downloaded from this remote machine after authentication, and it's encrypted before transferred. That's it for today. Thank you. And here, I prefer to stop the SSHD service then you can exit.